Hey, what is up guys? My name is Oleg, this is Baby Yoda. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. In today's video we're going to do a full review of this watch right here, Spinnaker Cahill 39mm diver watch. We reviewed quite a few different Spinnakers on this channel, and pretty much there are some positives and negatives with every single watch. Seems like Spinnaker is listening to our feedback and they made some improvements to their most recent model. However, this is still a very puzzling watch because pretty much for every positive that I have of this watch, there is an equal negative. So this is going to be a fun review. Let's get started by talking about the case dimensions. First, the watch has a 39mm diameter, it's 47.5mm from one lug to another, it has a 20mm lug width, and it's 13mm thick. Here's what the watch looks like on my 7.5-inch wrist. I'm a big fan of watches of that 39-40mm diameter. I think they look great and they are very comfortable to wear. This one has a great weight for a diver watch at 144 grams, so it's a very comfortable watch to wear. However, there's one complaint with the fit of this watch, and it's the fact that it has this protruding crown at the 3 o'clock position. It doesn't dig into your wrist too much, however you can still feel it, especially at the end of the day. You kind of get that red mark on your wrist. So for next iteration of this watch, maybe make that crown smaller. The finish on the watch is all brushed finish except for a few chamfering edges on the lugs. The finish looks pretty good. I like this brushed finish. It makes the watch look a little bit tougher. However, I have one puzzling choice with this one. It's the fact that it has Spinnaker written on the side of the case. Way to copy Invicta watches. It's not my favorite design feature in watches. In fact, I don't personally like it, and I know that a lot of you guys wouldn't like that either. I don't know why they chose to write Spinnaker on the side of the case, but that's the world we live in. Coming back to the crown, as I said, it is at the 3 o'clock position. It is a very long crown, kind of looks weird, doesn't have any crown guards. It's a sign crown with Spinnaker logo on it. It is a screw down crown, helping with 150 meters of water resistance. So this watch doesn't have the full 200 meters of water resistance. It only has 150, which should be enough for your kind of swimming, snorkeling needs. You wouldn't quite take this watch diving with you. It also has a screw-down caseback with a display window. Through the display window we can see the automatic movement. The automatic movement of choice for this watch is a Miyota 8 series movement, more specifically is the caliber 8215 movement. 21 joules beats at 21,600 beats per hour, has 40 hours of power reserve, and it's a non-hackable movement. It is hand-windable, but doesn't have hacking, so that's going to be a big negative for me personally with this watch. I wish they went with something like a 9 series movement from Miyota, that's a high beat movement, or even a Seiko NH35, the proven movement for a lot of micro-brand watches. They chose to save a little bit of money and have gone with this 8 series movement. It's not an awful movement, this one has been fairly accurate. I'm getting within 10 seconds per day. The big complaint that I had with previous Spinnaker watches that are reviewed on the channel was the fact that they didn't have sapphire crystals. They all had mineral crystals for some reason. Well, I know the reason, saving money. This one here does have a properly domed, a slightly domed sapphire crystal with some AR coating, giving off that blue hue. It plays with the light really well, so I really like this crystal. Well done Spinnaker for listening to that feedback. It also has this loomed unidirectional 120 click bezel. The bezel action is pretty good. Have a listen. Yeah, there's no backplay, it's a fairly solid bezel. However, I do have a small negative with this bezel, and it's the fact that it doesn't line up properly. It's not misaligned too terribly, however, there is still slight misalignment that drives me kind of crazy. The positive of the bezel is the fact that it is a fully loomed bezel. The loom is alright on a whole watch. Here's a loom shot for you. So yeah, the loom is okay, it's not outstanding, but it will get the job done. Taking a look at the dial, it has a nice texture to the dial. In fact, the design at the dial and the size of this watch are my favorite things about the watch. So the dial has this nice texture to it, has very big prominent applied indices for hour marks, has a triangle at the 12 o'clock position, then it has the rectangles by the 6 and the 9 o'clock positions, and the circles for the rest. There's also a date window at the 3 o'clock position with a nice white border, a minute running track running around the dial. So all of that is done pretty well. I also like the pop of color on this dial. So we have that red seconds hand with the lollipop on it, a Mercedes set of hands, and also a little bit of red on the dial. Not too much writing actually, just says Spinnaker by the 12 o'clock position, automatic, and 150 meters of water resistance closer to the 6 o'clock position. So the dial and the design for the most part are done really well. However, again, I have one complaint about it, and it's the fact that the hands, in my opinion, are a little bit undersized. You can see that hour's hand, the Mercedes hour's hand, looks a little bit too small. The Minutes hand also looks a little bit too small, so I wish they made them a little bit larger. It's not a huge deal, just my personal preference. Another thing that I used to complain about with Spinnaker watches was the fact that they pretty much all came on rubber straps or leather straps. They never had bracelets until now. So now the few models that are coming out from Spinnaker, the new diver watch models, all have stainless steel bracelets. And the bracelet is actually pretty good. So it has all solid links, solid end links. It has an engineered styled clasp. So all of that is done pretty well. It also is a comfortable bracelet to wear, and I like the design. However, again, I have a small complaint. So here's my complaint. The watch has a diver extension. The diver extension looks kind of cheap. Actually, I wish they didn't include this diver extension at all. But my problem is not with the diver extension, it's with the micro adjustments. So the watch has 3 micro adjustments currently, however, only 2 of them are useful. So the first 2 you can use. If you try to put the watch into the 3rd micro adjustment, it just simply doesn't fit. The diver extension doesn't fit in the opening. So kind of a design oversight, kind of a quality issue oversight. So you can only use 2 out of the 3 micro adjustments. Keep that in mind. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, this is a puzzling watch because they did so many things that I like, but almost equally as many things that I don't like. They reduced the size, but they made this crown extra long so it kind of digs into your wrist. They loomed the bezel, however the bezel doesn't align properly. They added the bracelet with the diver extension, but the diver extension doesn't really look that good, it's not very functional. They added a domed sapphire crystal, but they reduced the quality of the movement. There's a lot of give and take with this watch. The deal breaker for me personally is the price of it. It's $350 US. I think that's way too much for this watch, especially with that movement. In that price category, there are a lot of other better quality watches in my opinion, including from Spinnaker themselves. I think this one is just priced way too high. Currently, until Monday, they have their Black Friday sale, so everything on the website is 25% off, so you can get this watch for $260 if you're watching it when I release the video. So that becomes a little bit more reasonable for the watch. Still expensive, but more reasonable than $350 US. But I would argue if everything on their website is 25% off, there are better watches from Spinnaker themselves than this. Also, I want to point out that Spinnaker did send me this watch in for the review. I get to keep it for free. Of course, that didn't affect the review in any way. I just forgot to mention it at the beginning of this video. I appreciate you watching this review until the end. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want to see more videos like this. And leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about the Spinnaker Cahill 39mm. By the way, today on my wrist, I'm wearing Seiko SKX. Of course, I did a full review of this watch. That video can be found on the YouTube channel. I will also leave a link to it in the description below. Also, in the description below, there are 2 other links. The first one is a link to Bond NATO straps. Mr. Bond started his own side business selling NATO straps. They're great quality NATO straps, so if you need some good quality NATO straps and want to support this YouTube channel, that's a good way to do it. The second link is a secret link. Have a look if you're curious. Thanks for watching this review. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you had fun, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
This one.